Okay, and we're live.
Good morning, everybody.
Sorry we're late.
Okay, we're going to get going. Thank you if you're logged in. Thank you for watching. I can't tell exactly who's on and who isn't, but we're just going to go ahead and get started. This is the second broadcast for our calendar. And so we wanted to this time talk about the championship season. On Saturday, Sherry spoke about pretty much the bulk of the season, but didn't quite get to the championship part of it. So we're gonna go there.
Sorry, it's my fault.
Okay, Sherry, when you have a chance, if you're watching and you can open up a second page and get online to the ZAP website and check out the meet calendar as we go, that would be great. Otherwise, you can just listen to this again and do it at the same time. But on the list of meets, if you scroll all the way down to the bottom, starting with the short course Junior Olympics at Rose Bowl, that's the very final championship meet of the season. And then if you work backwards, the first one is January 28th, and it's labeled Premier League Champs. So the meets in between Premier League Champs and 14 and under JOs, those are all championship meets. The kids should be looking at that. Some are completely aware, some are not, but we're hoping the parents can gain some awareness here and help the kids start focusing on where they are planning on swimming at the end of the season. So the Premier League Champs is the first meet in that segment of our season, and that is actually a drafted meet. Could be considered like a select team. The teams that go to that meet are limited to a certain number of swimmers per event, somewhere in the neighborhood of 2 or 3. And then we look at who is declared as being able to go, and from there the coaches do a draft, and we select the number of the kids who we believe, based on time and performance at meets, attitude, and attendance at practices, who we believe will bring the most points to ZAP. And then that team is selected and then posted on the website. The last year's team, that information is actually up on the website right now. So if you wanted to, actually, I take that back. I didn't select it back up. It'll be posted on the website under meets on the drop down menu. So when that is selected, you'll be notified. But anybody can check it out. And we usually make that selection in January after the first of the year. We hope to get it posted by the 10th. Okay. And yeah, that's pretty straightforward. The next meet is the Pacific Committee Championships at Rose Bowl. And this year, that meet is being held February 24th through the 26th. It's usually a Friday evening session with longer events, typically 11 and up swimmers. Sometimes they throw in a 10 and under event, but usually it's 11 and up on Friday night, and it's time finals since they're starting later after school, and then all day Saturday and Sunday, because Saturday and Sunday sessions are prelims and finals. In the past, up to about a year ago, this was a capped meet, meaning you could not be faster than the JO time standard or the Super JO time standard, excuse me. But this year, the Super JO meet has been eliminated, and so there is no cap on this meet. It is prelims and finals, however, so the top 16 athletes who swim in the morning and they place in the top 16 from those preliminary swims will come back tonight to swim for final placement in the finals. That's determined purely off of how they swim in the morning. We expect all of our kids to come in thinking that they are going to qualify for a second swim in at least a couple of events. Hopefully most of them will qualify in everything, but it really just depends a lot on their practicing, up to that point, and then their attitude going in. So, but at least, having the mindset of earning that second swim. The other thing,
if I could just interrupt on that one. First, if it's a heats and finals meet, one, it's likely that we're going to run relays, and so there are kids who might not be making individual events and finals, but if we are swimming relays towards the end of the meet, that means they're swimming in during finals. Is that right?
That is correct, as far as I know.
Okay. So for our new families or for our semi-new families who aren't familiar with that process, that would mean that even if your kids aren't necessarily swimming during finals for an individual event, they might be swimming a relay at the end of finals, which would mean that they were there all day, or maybe leaving for a nap and a quick meal and then coming back. So that meet is a marathon meet. It's a long meet, but it is the championship meet, which means, just like any other championship game or tournament that you would have for any other sport, we would expect you to be there the whole time.
Yeah, the relays are really key. It's an honor to be on them in the first place, but secondly, it's double points for our team. And when we're looking at team scores, it's really an important thing. ZAP has won the small teams division the last 3 years in a row. We'd like to keep that going. We have been assigned to the small teams division just based upon our number of entries. You never know if we have enough entries and we're in the big teams division, it's going to be even more critical, just because we'll be against teams with, way more entries. But at any rate, regardless of what division we're in, the kids really rally around it and, go after it. And it feels really good when they come home with a team trophy and knowing that they did it together. So that's definitely something that we're expecting. If for some reason you're unable to stay for finals, we would need to know that before we do our entries, because we would do entries accordingly. And again, that's just really, really important for us to know. But again, the expectation for this one meet is that you would be there the duration, given that it is the championship meet, and we're looking for maximum participation. That being said, the minimum qualification for this is that the swimmers have their ages 9 and up, and that they have a minimum of 4 red times. So swimmers who are younger than the age of 9 on February 24th, because that's the date that the age matters. If you turn 9 on February 25th, you're still considered an 8 and under. And so if you're 9 and up, those on February 24th, and you have 4 more red times in any events, then you would be eligible to be entered in this meet. If you don't, if you're not age 9 by the 24th and you have fewer than 4 red times, you would be qualified for the short course finale, which I'll go over in a minute. That's going to be either March 4th or 5th, probably going to be held at Southgate Aquatic Center, but that is a TBD. ZAP has sponsored that in the past, but we aren't going to be able to this year because the East LA pool is not available that weekend. So anyway, that's the Pacific Committee Championships at Rose Bowl, February 24th through 26th. Again, if you have restrictions, you can't go on Friday, or you can't stay for finals on Saturday and Sunday, please make sure that you note that in the notes section upon declaration. If for some reason you enter your swimmer to be entered and they don't qualify, it's not a big deal. They just can't be entered. So, we would let you know. And for all the meets, when you're declaring, if you're not sure, but that you're not sure that your swimmer or swimmers qualify, but they can attend, put them down as a yes. Again, if we can enter them, we will. If they don't qualify for some reason, we won't be able to, and then it's a moot point. But better to know that they can go rather than having to trail people, and asking, can they go? Next in line, the first week of March is the second sectionals. There's one in December. There's a second one this year in Carlsbad, being held by or hosted by North Coast Aquatics. This is a senior level meet. You must qualify. The time standards are available on the Southern California Swimming website. That's socalswim.org. And those time standards, because it's a senior meet, are listed under men and women rather than in the age group standards for the boys and girls. So that pretty straightforward there. Most likely will be, handling this meet as going down as families, families staying, on their own and just gathering at the meet, ready to race and swim real fast. I don't think at this point it'll be a coaches, athletes only thing. And then March 4th or 5th, that same, the sectionals is a longer duration. It's usually 4 or 5 days. The short course finale is going to be either that Saturday or Sunday. It's to be determined depending on the host. But again, this is the championship meet for all athletes 8 and under. And for those swimmers who are 9 and older, but have fewer than 4 red times. You cannot enter a no time. So you must have swum events throughout the season to be able to swim this meet, as well as the Pacific Championship meet at Rose Bowl. But it just depends on the speed that they're swimming their events in that determines which meet they attend. There will also be relays at this meet, as far as I know, and we again would be expecting that all of our swimmers will be there to stay for the duration of the day or the session that they're in where they're swimming relays. This is not prelims and finals. It's just a single session where the kids are coming in, they're swimming their event, and that's their final place and final time for the meet. Sherry, is there anything that you want to add on that?
Not so far. I don't think so. We don't know where that one's going to be. Is that right?
Right. It's probably going to be at Southgate, but not sure yet. Don't have a final commitment. And then the last meet, like I started out with, is the short course Junior Olympics being held at Rose Bowl. This is a 14 and under meet. Southern California Swimming has changed their championship format a bit this year. So we have some meets added back to the calendar that weren't there last year, and others that have been taken away. And then this meet has been placed further back in the season, actually much further, about 4 weeks later than normally is. But that's actually kind of a nice thing because it gives our 14 and under athletes a chance to swim a multitude of meets. They can still swim the Pacific Committee Championships and then qualify there and go on to JOs, or they could even swim at sectionals and swim at JOs, or the actually I blew it. I skipped over a meet on accident, the Senior Classic meet in Coronado. So a 13 and 14-year-old, if they qualified for the Senior Classic in Coronado, could swim, theoretically swim at Coronado, and then swim at JOs as well. Since I'm on the topic, I'm going to skip back up to the Senior Classic meet. That is basically the championship meet for high school athletes, because it's happening over the President's Day weekend, which really marks the last weekend right before the official start of the high school season. And that's significant because the kids, when they swim high school, are not allowed to score points for 2 different teams. So if they're swimming the season representing their high school, while they can compete with a ZAP cap on, they cannot score points for us. So they're listed as an unattached athlete. But because the Senior Classic meet happens before the official start of the high school season, they would still be able to go down as a team and score points together and go after hopefully a top 10 finish this year. So that's a meet where it's coaches and athletes only. driving down to Coronado, staying for 3 days over the President's Day weekend, and swimming fast prelims and finals, qualifier meet. So you do have to have senior qualifying times. Those time standards will be published down the road. They aren't available right now. But if you're wondering, you can certainly talk to me and ask me if you qualify, and I can let you know. So that is it. So I don't know if there have been any questions posted at all, Sherry.
Nothing yet, but I was going to go back to when you were talking about champs and JOs being pushed back. Tracy Sorich asked, I don't know, 1 or 2 chats ago, about, qualifying for JOs or qualifying for WAG, and sort of when the last chance was for qualifying for WAG. So I know that the topic of qualifying for JOs is going to come up. So what's nice is that kids can all go to Pacific Committee Champs, and that really will be their last chance to qualify for JOs. It hasn't been that way in the past, but this year it is, which is kind of a nice deal. So they can go to Pacific Committee Champs, get all their sort of last ditch tries in for qualifying for JOs, and then JOs, which, by the way, stands for Junior Olympics, which is sort of our top level age group meet for the entire season, is swum just after that championship meet. For those kids who have filled out goal sheets for groups that I coach, you have already chosen a target meet, either Pacific Committee Champs or JOs. Those meets should already be on your calendar, and you should already be committed for those meets. So it doesn't make a lot of sense to have your target meet be something that you can't attend. So let's make sure that you've spoken with your parents. I'm pleading with you to speak with your kids, and make sure that you know what their target meets are, and that those target meets are not only on your calendar, but that you are signed up for them already online. They are there up on our website, and let's make sure that everybody's committed now, and that way everything is solid and golden, and we're on track for our goal sheets as well.
Yeah. I hate the term last ditch. It's heavily used within Southern California swimming, but it really puts a lot of undue stress on our swimmers. And in the past, we have had some swimmers qualify at a last ditch meet for whatever meet they were last ditching for. But, it's really important that the swimmers are thinking a month out, like, this is, I need to qualify by this point, because when they qualify at a last ditch meet and one weekend, and then the meet that they're trying to qualify for is the following weekend, it's all fine and great to go to make the meet the one weekend and then to swim it again the following weekend. But the chances of going in that situation and having a banner meet 2 weekends in a row is slim to none. So, if you're wanting to do that and go for the experience, that's one thing. But thinking that you're going to make it one weekend and then going and taking off another 5-10 seconds the following week it's a mistake to think that. It doesn't mean that it's impossible, but again, chances are slim. And the worst thing is seeing a kid get so excited one weekend because they made a time standard, and then they get to go to the meet, and then they, it's probably usually a first time that's that they've qualified, and so they're going in and excited but nervous. Parents as well, and then they kind of freak out and wind up leaving feeling like it was an unsuccessful meet, and that just makes me sad when that happens. So I think that regardless of the situation of going into those championship meets, you got to have kind of the right mindset and realistic expectations of your swimmers and the swimmers of themselves, and we can the coaches will help with that as well, of course, but it's important for the parents to be on the same page with that too. So just a little kind of FYI. The other thing that, if the kids are waiting in their mind, they're thinking, oh, I have one more chance to make it. That's great. But again, it's putting a huge amount of pressure on one particular event or one particular meet. And, 90% of the time we see kids who are going in there and they're trying so hard, but they're so stiff and so wrapped up around a time and not going in and really just enjoying it and racing, with a clear head and a relaxed body, able to move the water, that oftentimes it doesn't work out the way that they wanted. And again, then they come away feeling like it was a fail, and, they may have fallen short of their goals, but, again, we're trying to get the kids understanding that this is a process, and things don't always work out on the timeline that they want. But they might have if they had been thinking about it further back in the season, not, the 2 weeks before the meet. So we really ask you guys to help us out with that, and thinking about, in terms of goal setting, figuring out where they want to go, where they are, and then coming up with a plan, much like you do when you type in an address in your GPS and you tell Siri where you want to go, and then she spits out the best way or a couple options. We look at coaching and goal setting very much the same way. Okay, so I think that's it in terms of the championship season. As the kids get older, a lot of them will start using the word taper, and I just wanted to address this really quickly. In order to taper for a meet, that means that we're, coming down in terms of our yardage, but increasing our intensity. In order to get maximum benefit out of a taper, they have to have something to taper off of. And so if they've missed a ton of practices for whatever reason, whether it was an injury or illness or a vacation or a death in the family, or I don't know, but it doesn't really matter. If they've missed, they've missed. And so the taper has to be adapted. So, with our younger kids, we like to use the phrase championship preparation. We don't even need to bring the word taper into it. And then for the older athletes, they've got to understand that taper doesn't mean just we're doing nothing and you're sitting on your rear, and getting into the pool for 5 minutes and then laying out on the deck and tanning. It actually means that, the intensity goes way up on what they're doing in the pool. There's more rest during repeats and things like that, but that they've got to be there all the time to get those benefits, and they have to have been there, the majority of the time to reap the benefits of that. So just a little tidbit of info there. Okay, so moving on, time is flying by here. The next thing that we had on the agenda for today was to talk about what's kind of coming up. And the biggest thing is the end of daylight savings. And as most of you know, last January, ZAP was notified by the district because of a visit to the pool and the school, actually, from the health department. And there was a big problem with the lights. The lights actually have all burned out in the Marilys pool, and the health department has mandated that there must be lights in the pool. Otherwise, we cannot swim when it's dark, either before sunrise or after sunset. So at that point, last January, we were faced with making immediate changes and figuring out how to work through everything, and we did. And we've known since then that this year would be a longer time, that we would have to make accommodations, because we would be faced with the situation in November rather than January. We have been working steadily since then to figure out a solution of what we would do for this year. Quite honestly, I didn't know what, we obviously had in mind what we wanted to make happen, but weren't sure really what was going to pan out through our efforts, and, how long it was going to take, and who would be able to, make the final decisions and that sort of thing. But the good news is we've made actually a ton of progress thanks to two very key players. We have two parents in the program who have really, really made a huge impact. Irving Ambrosio has been our liaison between ZAP and the health department, and John Fitzgerald has been a huge help in figuring out what's going on with the lights. And the good news is that we have, even though we've been told by the district that there was no possibility of getting lights in the pool, we have found the maker of the manufacturer of the particular lights that are in the mirrorless pool already. We've figured a way to get them replaced. We have ordered 12 of them. The order was put in on Friday, and we've found out in this process, or John found out in this process, that these are actually kind of the Rolls Royce of lights. We have no idea why, when they built this pool, these lights were selected, but they were. And in the lighting community, these are really kind of considered a work of art. And so much, in fact, that these are the lights that illuminate the Statue of Liberty and the Eiffel Tower. And there's literally one company that makes them, and they make them like they're custom made, on order. They are not stocked. So it's going to take about three to 4 weeks. We're thinking more of 4 weeks to get them, because they're being made up at the factory in Oregon, and will be shipped down FedEx as soon as they are done. And then we're going to get those installed. At that point, the process will be going back to the health department, which should give us the thumbs up, like, of, hey, great job. Now you can go talk to your school district about, getting other lights that they feel are necessary for you to have to utilize the pool. So we are still looking at having to make a change over, like, once daylight savings ends. But the good news is that there is some light at the end of the tunnel. We're definitely still in the tunnel, but knowing that there's light at the end of it is a great feeling. So with that, I don't know when we will be coming back to mirrorless full time, but I can tell you that that is now a possible scenario, that before daylight savings comes back in March, that we would be able to come back to mirrorless earlier than summertime. So that's the good news. Yay. This has definitely been a huge learning curve for us, and really, I feel like I'm eating my words that I say to our swimmers all the time, and that this is a process. Everything that we do is a process, and while things don't necessarily happen on the timeline that we want, if we keep persevering and pushing ourselves and doing everything that we possibly can, making sure every I is dotted and every T is crossed, then we can, the situation is what it is, and we're going to make the best of it. And that's really what has happened in this case. People kept telling us it couldn't be done. People who actually had control over us, and where we are, but it was like, no, I don't think that's right. I think that we can find some different information, and with the help of, these parents we have, we had a lot of people really, willing to step up and be ambassadors for our program, which was awesome and much appreciated. But it's a touchy subject, and with the district, and we're not trying to get pushed out at all. And thank goodness we have a great rapport with the administration and PVP USD. And things have really made a great turn for the good. So, if we need help in whatever comes next, we will definitely be putting the word out. But I think our next step at this point is really just getting the lights installed. Yes, we will have a pool lighting ceremony, and much like a Christmas tree lighting, once we're ready to do that, and then we'll go from there, and we'll keep you updated, and that'll probably be another online session. So anyway, good news, and we're very excited. I've been kind of jumping out of my seat on this one.
Can I interrupt you on that one?
Yeah.
I think it's really important to say, we had a lot of offers to help us in a lot of different ways, and we appreciate every single last one of them. It was so nice to have such an outpouring of people willing to help. sometimes we are not sure what we need. And so it takes a little bit of time to sort out all the information and figure out what it is, what it is that we will need. And then once we have figured out what we need, sometimes the stuff that people are offering isn't necessarily what's appropriate at the time, but it will be. What's great is when people tell us what they can offer, or when people tell us, hey, I can't do this, but I can do that, or this, I'm really good at this, if that's ever a help, we're here for you. It's fantastic, because we put that in our memory bank, and we pull that out eventually. Sometimes it's not necessarily what we need at the time, and it doesn't mean that we're turning you down, or that we're rejecting you, or that we don't appreciate the offer. It just means that it's not the appropriate intervention at the time. But it may be at some point, and we will call you. And what has become abundantly clear throughout this process is we will call. As soon as we realize, that as soon as we get to the bottom of what it is that we need, we are all over it. And Deanne has been all over this from the very beginning. It's been a very, very long process, and it's been a very complicated process. But it's certainly not over yet. But what's been great is that we've been able to really call on a lot of favors from everyone, and to really band together as a family. And we could not have done any of this without all of you really sticking behind us and trusting us, and trusting that we were working on it, and that we were doing everything that we possibly could throughout this whole process. And that really has meant everything to us.
Absolutely. And again, I just cannot thank Irving and John enough for them being able to utilize their resources and really get their hands dirty and their feet wet. Literally, John spent a number of evenings in the pool and working on this. So it really, we really, really appreciate it. And for everybody who has offered their help, much, much, much appreciated. Really, and that gets us to our final piece of this broadcast, and that is, what are we going to do when we do move over to Penn? And I'm literally it just came in about 30 seconds ago, getting a text from the high school girls water polo coach, whose schedule actually dictates ours. And he's giving me an idea. I'm looking at my phone right now. He's giving me an idea of what his practice schedule is going to look like. And so I think that the earliest we're going to be able to get in, from what he's saying right now, is 5:30 at Peninsula. And we will probably have 90 minutes, maybe 2 hours of pool time at Penn each night, through the winter part of the season, starting the second week of November, when daylight savings time rolls in. Because of space and time, the coaches have worked really hard at coming up with a scenario that we think will benefit everyone. And what it's going to look like is that there'll be the swimmers will have a number of days during the week in the water, and there's going to be a number of days where they have the day off. And then we'll have at least one practice on the weekend, if not two, depending on the group that they're in. Also, our senior athletes have mornings, though that will continue to stay, and it's going to play a big part in how things are scheduled and and managed. So the good news is that nobody will be losing out on practice time. In some cases, you actually may be gaining a little bit of time, whether it's through dry land or water, whatever. But everybody at least will have what they're starting with, and again, hopefully gain a little bit extra. So that's the good news. The duration of this, we don't know. It's really going to depend on the light situation, and that is going to play itself out. Once we, again, once we get them installed, then we have to go back to the health department and then to the district and so on, and work the procedures that way. But we do have a plan, and this will be laid out. Now that I have gotten this text from Coach Albert, I can really work on finalizing things and making sure that it works with the coaches' schedules and all that stuff. But I actually think it's going to be a great thing. It'll give our swimmers, a way to kind of have it all. They can have time in the week to swim, but then also time for homework or other activities. We know that we do have a lot of swimmers who are doing multiple sports or, dedicating extra time to homework and such. So that'll be a great thing. And that's about it. What I can say is the day before Thanksgiving at this point, I know Sherry covered this in the last meeting, but the practices will be earlier. PV Unified is the only school that's in session on that Wednesday. Everybody else has the day off, but PV Unified has a minimum day. So our practices will be early. At this point, I think they'll probably be at Peninsula, but that will also depend on what the high school water polo team is doing. If they have practice, we may get pushed back. If it goes back too far, we actually may wind up moving over to Mirrorless that day since we can get in early. All of the practices over the winter holiday break in December and going into the new year, those will be at Mirrorless, and those will be earlier than normal so that we can take advantage of the daylight hours, and just heading back to Mirrorless kind of, it's a good home feeling. And since we're not having to, share that pool with other groups at this point, we've had carte blanche to utilize those hours. So that'll open up Peninsula for the other groups if we're out of there, and that's a good thing for everyone. So everyone should be able to be taken care of, not just in ZAP, but the entire community as well with that move, and it looks like a pretty positive thing. So I think that's it. Sherry?
No, I think that's about it. I'm looking at the chat, and we've got nothing. So fine. Hello to Doris, who is on her laptop at home and refuses to chat with us, but who has sent a couple of texts saying that she's watching. So hi, Doris. And I've seen a couple of people coming in and out. I don't know who they are, but I know that we've had an average of between 5 and 10 people watching. They go in and out. So I know people are dropping in and out of the room, which is totally fine. That's what this is for. And I hope that these are informative. Again, if you subscribe to the ZAPswimmers channel, then you will be automatically notified when we are doing a live broadcast, which is, it just makes things super, super easy. If you have forgotten, or if you're sort of out and about and you have YouTube on your phone, you'll get an automatic little ding when we are going live. So even if we are running 5 minutes behind like we were today, because my slow computer was slow, then you know that we're running behind, and you just know when we're on. So and you just kind of drop in when it happens. Super easy, and an easy way to just stay connected. So I think that's about it. The next broadcast is going to be an IM1 training group broadcast. Certainly, if you are not in the IM1 group, but you would like to watch, you're more than welcome to. It'll be here on Wednesday, and Wednesday at 7:30 p.m. I have sent the link out to all of the IM1 families, but if you would like to watch and you want me to send you that link, no problem, just let me know. That will also go up afterwards so that people can watch if they so desire. And then we've got a bunch of other group-centric broadcasts coming out soon, as well as a bunch of team-centric ones that are coming out soon. We're getting a whole slew of people asking for specific subjects for our next broadcast, which I'm super excited about. I think that's great. And Also getting people getting called out for being our next guests, our next parent guests, which I think is great too. And I cannot wait to keep hearing from you all. And if you've got any feedback for us, please, we're happy to have it.
Yep, and definitely, if you're wanting a certain subject, please email or text us and let us know, so we can get that on the agenda for a broadcast coming up. Okay.
That's it.
Thank you.
Thanks so much. Swim up.